I am currently stuck in between a 2025 base 911 and a 2024 Tesla Model 3 Performance. Now, this starts at $120,000. This starts at $54,990. And when you dig into the performance and the features and everything you get with this 911, it quickly becomes apparent how impressive the Model 3 is. With the 911, you're looking at 388 horsepower and 331 pound-feet of torque. With the Model 3, you're driven by all four wheels with 510 horsepower and 554 pound-feet of torque through two electric motors at the front and rear of the vehicle, accelerating it from 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds. Back over to the 911, the base model is only rear-wheel drive. You can get it in all-wheel drive models. And again, this is the base model. It only goes up from here and it becomes absolutely crazy. So I'm going to drive both of these vehicles back to back. I'm going to do a 60-second ad for one of our advertisers, break down these vehicles and tell you what I feel is the better driver's car on a daily basis and what one does better than the other. What one does better than the other? Now, I think this is a first for me, and that is the frunk on the 911, a gas-powered car, is actually about double the size of the frunk on the Tesla Model 3. I don't think I've ever had that happen before. The other thing we need to talk about are the options. Now, one issue with Tesla is people say, oh, they depreciate. Oh, they're just iPads. And they're actually correct about that. They do depreciate a decent amount. And the reason that cars like the 911 do not depreciate as hard, in my opinion, is two reasons. One, they don't produce nearly as many 911s as they do Model 3s. And two, you can customize your 911 with interior colors, exterior colors, wheels, Porsche PTS colors. There's all of this customization that can go into a Porsche that you simply cannot do with what Tesla does. But for $120,000, 4 seconds to 60, 2.9 seconds to 60, and significantly more power with a much more efficient vehicle. This has the Sport Classic Carrera wheels on it. It's about a $2,500 option. It has the Bordeaux red interior, which is insane. It's kind of wild. Everywhere your eyes go on the interior of the vehicle, it's red. And around the back here, we have the Sport exhaust. So you can tell it's a Sport exhaust on a 911 if it has these oval tips here. On the base models, they're more squared off if it doesn't come with a Sport exhaust. You can also get titanium tips on the Sport exhaust for an extra $2,000. The Sport exhaust costs a little over $2,000, and I think it's absolutely worth it to have the Sport exhaust. It also has an adaptive suspension, and the Model 3 as well has an adaptive suspension between comfort and sport mode, and I really like that Tesla has finally integrated that. Now, on the 911, your engine is back here. You have no trunk. For me, someone that has kids, likes to play golf. Even if you like to play golf, sticking your golf clubs, where are you going to put them? In the passenger seat and then not enjoy driving your car on your way to the golf course? That's kind of a problem for me. But for a lot of people, that isn't a problem because they don't play golf, and not everyone's me. Okay? So let's jump in the Model 3 Performance, take it on a quick drive, and see what we feel.
Also, a big thank you to Justin at EV Access. You can check out his YouTube channel as you can see it on the screen. If you want to rent this 911 or any EV you can think of, check out his channel linked in the description.
All right, so when you get in the Model 3, surprisingly, it's 4,054 pounds. The 911 is anywhere between 3,200 and 3,800 pounds, depending on which model you get. So that base model, you're looking at probably around the 3,200 to 3,300 pound mark. Surprisingly, the 911 feels heavier. And I think part of the reason it feels heavier is because the throttle is less responsive. So if we put the Model 3 into insane mode, its most aggressive mode, giving us the 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds, and it's actually been recorded at 2.8 by third parties. And I would bet that the 911 is actually quicker in third-party testing to 60 because Porsche generally underrates their vehicles for whatever reason. But the Model 3, it has sport seats now that are heated and cooled, the pads from the factory, and then the suspension. It is insanely fast, and you're not bothering anyone. And it's comfortable. That's one of the things with the old Model 3 that people always talked about. It's very fast, but it's very uncomfortable. It's very loud. They've fixed all of that with the acoustic glass, with the suspension tuning. Everything they've done on this is truly incredible. And I actually don't mess with the suspension. I leave it in its comfort setting. Gives me a nice bounce. The handling, it's just truly a pleasure to drive. And the other thing that people talk about with electric vehicles is the weight. Oh, it weighs too much, it's numb, all that stuff. I hear you. It does weigh a lot. It's 4,000 pounds. It weighs just as much as a BMW M3, but you don't feel it in your hands. And surprisingly, driving that 911 in the short time that I did, it felt like a really heavy vehicle. So from a driver's perspective, someone who is an enthusiast and likes the sound of exhaust and shifting cars and all that stuff, will the Model 3 satisfy you? For the most part, it will. It has enough for you to play with in different drive modes and things like that that can make it a fun vehicle to drive. But what it doesn't have is the exhaust and the visceral feeling that you get out of the 911. Shifting the PDK transmission, which is really fun. But then, the way that the Model 3 accelerates, it's just absurd, and there's no one on the street that is going to beat you off the line. Not that you should be racing, but it's just nice to know that there is virtually no one, because of how good Tesla's traction control system is at actually putting the power down with no slip. It's remarkable how they're able to put that much power into a car this size and then deliver on the performance and get absolutely everything out of it. It's extremely impressive. You can change the weight of the steering, you can change the suspension, you can change how fast you want the throttle response to be in the different drive modes, and with the addition of sport seats, different fascia, rear diffuser, front diffuser, all of this stuff that Tesla has done, and package that at the same price that the old one was, at $54,000 as a starting price, is remarkable. But I said we're going to do a 60-second ad for an advertiser, and we're going to do it right now. And that's from INTOTHEAM.com. I'm currently wearing one of their athletic t-shirts. They have their huge Black Friday sale going on, so it's up to 60% off. So you can stack my code on top of any other incentive. So code Gjeebs will save you 10% on their website. So if you're getting 60% off something, now you're getting 70% off. And I also got this waffle knit hoodie I've been wearing. This waffle knit hoodie that I absolutely love, and the sweater. INTOTHEAM stuff is extremely comfortable. I've worked with them for over 4 years now. Again, code Gjeebs on their website. Their athletic tees, their basic tees, and the waffle knit hoodie are stuff that I wear all the time, and also their basic hoodies as well. So go to INTOTHEAM.com, use code Gjeebs, INTOTHEAM. Thank you for sponsoring this video. All right, we're in the 911. The first thing you notice is it has an engine, and it sounds, I'm weak. It sounds great. It does, though, for whatever reason, it feels heavy through the steering for whatever reason, but it is a very direct steering. It feels like you're attached to the road. I just didn't expect it for being significantly lighter than the Model 3, for the Model 3 to feel so much more lighter for whatever reason. The other thing to note is this is significantly stiffer, and you can stiffen up it even more. Now I'm going to actually turn off. There's an option right here. You can turn on and off the sport suspension. I'm going to put on the comfort mode, but leave the sport exhaust on, because that gives me bubblies, you know? And we're in Sport Plus. Just coming into a turn here. And it's just the sounds that it makes, and the PDK, watch this. You know what, though? I will say, I didn't expect this. It's lacking in power. The base model's absolutely, it's not lacking in sounds, though. The base model with 388 horsepower and 331 torque, it's lackluster in performance. It does feel good, but if we're comparing it to a Model 3 and considering what the Model 3 costs and what this costs, I would expect a little bit more. You have to pay so much now on a 911 just to get to the 911S. You just have to pay so much more to get into the power that feels like really shocking. And that's kind of a letdown. I'm very surprised by that, because Porsche generally underrates their vehicles. But God, do I love what that sounds like. Like when you go off the throttle and things like that, and you actually hear the car cut off, it sounds really nice and really aggressive. And that is what a Model 3, and that is what, in general, an electric vehicle simply doesn't have yet. And the other thing is, they're only selling so many of these. why not let these exotic car companies and these companies that build these incredible drivers cars, just let them keep building them. You're not doing crazy volumes. People are not dailying these and using these as Ubers. Let that be what the electric cars do and still produce these on the side, because I just feel like there is a space for both of them. I've also seen people who never cared about their car. They'll buy a Tesla, love it, and then they will go look at cars like this because they've come to enjoy driving and see the value in spending a lot on a car or getting a specific car that is very fun to drive. So look, the 911, it's a classic. I will say that this base model is underpowered for what you're paying for it. I'd rather have a BMW M2 or BMW M3 or something like that. I just feel like that is a better value. But if you're comparing it to the Tesla Model 3, the Model 3 all around is a better vehicle and costs significantly less, and it's way faster in the real world. Sorry, I'm all stuffed up, so I can't even speak today. But it was cool to get behind the wheel of a 911, drive them back to back, and really see what the main differences are. Now, the other thing you may wonder about is, what is it like comparing a Tesla Model Y to a Porsche Macan? I've owned both. You can click this video right here.